It's the Luton Town QPR preview show. Right, lads, shall we sink our teeth into this? And devouring this carcass with me is my co-host, Mark Ryman. How you getting on, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic than perhaps I was before the cup game, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a little bit.
Oh, the cup game. The cup game. Yeah, well, we did our predictions before the cup game, and they haven't gone too well, have they? But I guess we'll discuss our predictions, won't we? As well, we'll mention it, and let's jump in. But before we jump in, how about a quick shout out to our audio partners, Black Star Amplification and Carry On, for keeping us sounding absolutely fantastic with microphones and headphones. And also a big shout out to the Record Shop in Amersham, who sponsored this podcast. And if you're in Amersham, why not check them out? They got tons of vinyl and guitars too, so why not? But okay, football. So let's jump in and have a look at Luton Town versus QPR. It's a game that's happening on transfer deadline day. There's been a lot of movement today, hasn't there? A lot of rumours. Even Fabrizio Romano is getting involved.
Yeah, you know it's serious when that starts happening, don't you? And look, I mean, we all knew rumours were going to come in for our big players. It's happening to Burnley as well. Sheffield United lost a lot of their squad before. We knew it was going to happen. And you know, we'll see where we're at, I guess. We're all going to have to put up with seeing our best players on rumoured by some of those journalists, such as the ones that you said, like Fabrizio. But it is going to happen. Who knows what team comes out on Friday night? We always seem to play on transfer deadline day as well, which doesn't make life any easier. So we've got the double stress of watching us play football, which at the moment, let's be honest, has been a pretty stressful experience, combined with worrying about our best players leaving, especially if they're not in the squad on the night.
So the latest rumour that's doing the rounds so there's been Thomas Kaminski to Leicester, there's Alan Nixon. Yep. I don't know how reputable that is, but I guess we'll see. Look, if we can get what is reported as £10 million for Thomas Kaminski, I say go for it, but we need to make sure that we have someone coming in. The latest I heard is that we have 2 incomings, and one of them is potentially this lad from AIK. He looks like he has a good pedigree, but the problem is he's not going to be joining us until the Swedish season finishes in November. So, bit of a weird one. But in terms of outgoings, Teden Mengi to Torino, and that is something that concerns me, especially the fact that we reportedly turned away Nathan and Goy at the door. And that came out. It's funny that the club go to such lengths to stop leaks, and the leaks have just been flowing these past few days. Rumours are plenty. The story about Nathan and Goy as well apparently was the words used was a bust up between Rob Edwards and the recruitment staff. That's not good. That's not a good look, is it?
No, look, I mean, let's put it this way. Since we were promoted back into League Two, we've only seen good things, both behind the scenes and on the pitch. We are spoiled as Luton fans. We don't get the drama, the absolute capitulation behind the scenes on the football pitch that some clubs do. And as a result, I think, this hurts more, these kind of things. But let's get it right. Pre-season and the start of this season for Luton Town, on and off the pitch, has been a car crash. And I think that anyone who tries to deny that is being, delusional, I'm afraid. It doesn't mean that the board don't know what they're doing, and it's not me second-guessing the deals that are happening. But from what I can see with my eyes on the pitch, and clearly some of the issues off it at the moment have been problematic. For me, we look like we're still in the early stages of pre-season when we're on the pitch quite a lot of the time. And, deals like this just doesn't happen, bust-ups behind the scene at Luton. When's the last time we had that since we were back in the EFL? I mean, you and I are both old enough, ticking that box at least, to remember the days of, the Challoner days of Mike Newell and Gurney and all of that stuff where this was every other day. But it's been a long time since Luton Town have had to deal with that. I would say this, on the flip side of that, of course, that all clubs that come down from the Premier League seem to have this a little bit as well, this kind of heads-turning mass exodus of players towards the end. Look, Burnley aren't immune from it, so why should we be, etc. And, they're used to it as well. It's happened to them before. But there's clearly some issues off the pitch. Leeds as well, even though they were relegated the season before, loads of issues, not replaced players. Sheffield United, we all know the issues there too. So, no club's immune from this stuff, and neither should Luton be. But, it's been concerning. Let's put it that way, and it clearly has leaked onto the pitch as well. Players form as dips, and I'm sure the stuff off the pitch is going to have an impact on that too, right?
It's not just the players' form that's leaked onto the pitch. This is concerning from I think it's 4 games that we've seen now. Including the Carabao Cup game against QPR. Look, the first half, we were absolutely sensational. Yeah. And that strike by Zach Nelson was tremendous. And what a player we have, And also, a big shout out to playing a back 4. It's what we've been calling out for. It's what, it sort of just fills out the middle of the park a bit more. We weren't getting passed through as much, and Marvelous Nakamba returning as well was fantastic. But ultimately, it's a case of the final balls just aren't finding the strikers, and then when the strikers do get the ball, it's just one too many touches. And that is something that has to be cut out. It has to click in the final third. And when it does click in the final third, I do think we will pace someone. But it's all a case of that has to happen. And it's still, as you said, you hit the nail on the head. It still feels like early stages of pre-season. It just feels like the cobwebs haven't been shaken off. It feels like we're not running for 90 minutes in the game. It's really worrying. And essentially, my 3-1 prediction against QPR, look, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I'm really concerned about this game. And I think a negative result could lead to a very hostile atmosphere towards the team and Rob Edwards at the final whistle.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Look, I think, I predicted 4-2 because on the optimism that it will click. And like you, I thought first half against QPR in the Cup, we were great. And a word for Nakamba because the difference that man has made in that time and how much we've missed him was clear in the half that he played. Rob has said that he's unlikely, or made elements he's unlikely to play, which I get. He's coming back from fitness. The last thing we want him to do is break down again. There were loads of positives there, but you're right. It was still frustrating. It was better. I think Carlton Morris actually had a much better game, or first half particularly, playing further up the pitch in the position we know he can play into. So, who knew? But I do think that we lose against QPR. We're at home. It's under the lights. We lose against QPR and we lose badly as well, which I'm not saying will happen. I don't think it will. But if we do, especially against QPR, up there on the rivalry stakes, then there is going to be some outcry. There has to be. We've not seen our team win a game and since that 2-1 against Bournemouth way back when. It's going to be tough for people to take. Does it mean that we think that our club's down the drain and we're going to get relegated and all this. No, we're not throwing every toy out the pram. But there, you can be both of those things. You can be realistic, but you can also be unhappy about what you see. You don't have to be a happy clapper, and you don't have to be throwing your toys out the pram. You can have legitimate questions.
I believe the term. I believe the term is a bedwetter.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, but I think it's interesting, isn't it, that Edwards and the team have built up so much credit in the bank. They have done, but I think it's taken a little bit of realism away from the performances. If we break down the performances towards the end of the Premier League season, we were far too easy to beat from teams that we could have taken points away from, and in the end, we failed to stay up quite considerably. When actually, for quite a long time, we were within a shout of doing so. Do I think we should have done with our budget and everything else? No, but that doesn't mean that we don't have those expectations that are set. And the start of this season, as I've mentioned already, has just not really got going. So yeah, I think there will be some legitimate questions about the team and the management as well. I wonder if you think that the lack of attacking presence has got anything to do with McCormack leaving, as obviously he was set piece coach. I don't know whether that's had an impact, but it appears
has he taken Alfie Doughty's left foot with him?
Well, clearly,
that's the thing. Like what has happened? It's every corner is the same. It's to the back post and hoping Morris or McGuinness gets their head on it. It's really crazy. Like I think a big factor of what's happened in terms of our toothlessness from set pieces, like against Preston we had 13. I think yesterday against QPR, this is being recorded on a Wednesday night, by the way, against QPR, I think we had 20 corners. It felt like every minute we were having a corner.
I think they had one.
Like a big component of this was Tom Lockyer was fantastic from corners. He always was in the right place. And also Gabe Osho. Like those second balls, those knockdowns. Gabe Osho was always there just to, stab it home. Whereas I don't know what's happened, honestly. It looks like half a season of getting absolutely pummeled in the Premier League. If we had just stayed as a pragmatic team from the first half of the season, I think that would have been better for our confidence, because we were grinding out results. Every loss was a very tight one. I think we only lost by more than one goal to, ignoring the first two games against Brighton and Chelsea, we only lost by a margin of 2 goals or more to Brentford and Aston Villa.
Yeah.
But after that Brighton game, it changed.
Yeah, I mean, it did. I would carry that and say, look, as Rob said, after the Brentford game, I think it was the away 3-1 loss, something had to change, and I agree. I think we looked a bit toothless at both ends of the pitch then, and I agree that something had to change. I can't remember whether it was the Arsenal game after that. I think it was, where we showed some of the attacking flair that is still part of that formation. Unfortunately, we went so far the other way and so far relentlessly the other way that we didn't look like we could adapt again. I think that's the issue. No one is suggesting that we go completely defensively every game, but we have to be able to have a bit more structure about our play, which actually we did against QPR. We went forward at the back because players knew where they were, knew where their positions were, and they weren't straying all over the pitch, a la, some of the games that we've seen previously, I guess.
Man City in the FA Cup.
Man City, that's what I was going to say.
Woodrow was the furthest player back.
Which, okay, you play Man City in the FA Cup, and Haaland and De Bruyne were incredible that game. I would doubt many teams would be able to cope with them. So you see,
it was still 4 balls through the centre, though.
Yeah, of course it was
4 identical balls.
Yeah, from De Bruyne to Haaland, and you go, maybe that's quality, right? Yeah. So, but I and I think that's been some of our downfall. We talked about this to death. I think behind the scenes in terms of the transfers, just going back on that really briefly as well, if players aren't 100% sold on Luton for this season and they've had their heads turned, then that's going to affect their play on the pitch as well. So, if we've seen to go all out,
we've seen Ogbene leave just today, and that's Ogbene for £8 million, or a deal up to £8 million, which I think is fantastic business, considering I was told today that he signed a 2-year deal with an optional extension if we stayed in the Premier League. So Ogbene was in the final year of his contract.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
And that is sensational business. But obviously, it had affected his performances.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, exactly. We were talking in the last post-match about him not wanting to go past a player. Well, that's probably why, isn't it?
He didn't want to injure himself.
Not risk getting a hamstring. Yeah, well, exactly. Or injuring himself again. And this is it. Same as Mengi, arguably not blocking those shots. He's partly responsible for the Evans goal for Preston. So yeah, I think that's going to be part of the reason. And they're not, the bit that worries me, I guess, is they're not the only ones whose body language suggests that they're not 100% on it. I never say 100% committed or working hard, because that's not fair, but 100% on it. That might just be because we're losing all the time, and fair enough, that could well be it. Easy to read a lot into this. But yeah, that's what worries me. And we'll see what team turns out on Friday, which probably should talk about, I guess.
I guess, yeah, we should. So, off the back of what we saw against QPR midweek, I think if we had been given the opportunity to name a lineup for the Carabao Cup, I don't think we would have seen that team out. We would have thought more kids, and it was quite a strong one. So if we were to hazard a guess of building an 11 for this game, where would you start? Because remember, it's on deadline day. It's on deadline day.
Well, this is it's where it's tough. I think that, we showed our hand to some extent, didn't we? Which is actually what Rob Head would say we wouldn't. I do understand why he played Morris and Adebayo, though. They clearly need to click, and they need the game time to click as well.
I don't understand that they need to click, because they played together for 2 seasons now.
Yeah, but clearly, regardless of that, both of them are out of form. Morris did seem to improve a little bit on that. I would say that you're likely to see, let's go with the obvious. Rule Waters is going to come back into the side, right? With Ogbene gone, I can't see any world where that changes. McGuinness will start in centre-back as well. I thought he had a very good game and very good debut against Preston. Unless Kaminski, who knows, so I'm going to leave the goalkeeping situation to you. You can predict the goalkeeper if you like. But I think that obviously if a deal gets done, then that. Otherwise, he's nailed on as well. And obviously Bell and Doughty as well in defence. Whether he plays a 4 or a 3 will be interesting. He's already said that Nakamba's not ready to play, full competitive league minutes yet. So that makes me think that we might be going back to a back 5 or a back 3. It's a little bit concerning because it might lead to
when the wing backs are in the opposing half, like touching the corner flags, it's a back 3.
Yeah, back 3. Yeah, it's a back 3. But you know what I mean. I think that may well be the case. And if it is, then you're likely to probably see Bell on the left of that 3, likely to see McGuinness in the middle of that 3, and probably Burke on the right of that 3. That would be my guess, as Burke's back in, and he's made it clear that Burke's back in. He's properly back in now. That would be my 3 if Mengi's gone, which we probably presume that he is. And then, I think there's been some, Zach Nelson, I know you mentioned his goal. I thought his all-round play was excellent. I thought he was fantastic in that game. And that gave me some real hope going forward as well, that we've got some really good alternatives to those kind of attacking midfield number 10 roles. People like Chong, for example, as well. I don't think he starts this game, though. I don't know what you think.
No, I don't see a start for Zach Nelson here unless we play a back 4. Potentially with Mengi going and Nathan Ngoy not signing. we could see a back four, but I kind of agree with your back three of Bell, McGuinness, and Burke. Burke might need. Well, we saw Burke only got like 45 minutes, didn't he? Burke might go off. Anderson might come on. It depends who's ready for more minutes. I would love to see a back four, though. I felt that first half in the Carabao was fantastic. Also, it gives us more options in the middle. It means Zach Nelson could potentially play. But I would like to see some minutes for Liam Walsh because he came on. He looked tidy. His passing was excellent. And honestly, it's the attacking options that I am worried about. Joe Taylor was pictured today going down to London from Luton Parkway. And look, for the people watching, I did not take that picture. I was home all day. So I don't, I'm not a creep. No, I don't go around following, footballers around. That just saying that. But Cauley Woodrow is a man bereft of confidence. He's taken 4 penalties for Luton Town. He's missed all 4 penalties. And honestly, I felt Joe Taylor would have been a better option. We really need Jacob Brown back to sort of relieve that burden, because if we're just going to keep playing Elijah Adebayo and Colton Morris, like to make them click, I don't see it happening. So I guess we'll see what happens, right?
Yeah, I agree. I did feel for Cauley Woodrow, and he's got a huge amount of stick online after that today as well.
Much.
He did have a decent shot, to be fair to him. Just went past the post, just outside the box, and that's what he can do. Obviously his goal return isn't what it should be for us. His pace is struggling. Yeah. And I've seen him make a difference in games, the obvious examples last season, Crystal Palace, Norwich the season before. But you've got to wonder what Joe Taylor's done to piss Rob Edwards off to not be given a chance in that game. Clearly a deal, regardless of photos. If he's not even going to be considered as a substitute, then something's been done already, right?
Some were saying it was because he didn't want to cup tie us. He didn't want to be cup tied for if we were to let him go. I think that makes no sense, seeing as we're entering the 3rd rounds of the Carling Cup. And Carling Cup, it'll always be the Carling Cup to me. Or the Littlewoods.
Say the Littlewoods Cup, right?
Yeah, seeing as we're entering the 3rd round of the Littlewoods, it makes no sense, because the teams we would loan him to, potentially like League One or lower half Championship, they would be out the competition. So it shouldn't matter. But I felt Joe Taylor as a 21-year-old prospect, where we're trying to inflate the price of, and he's so highly regarded. He's scored goals wherever he's gone. League Two, in a relegation-threatened side. He propelled Lincoln from mid-table nothings to cusp of the playoffs. He should be getting on ahead of Cauley Woodrow, unless you're going to put both of them on. It made no sense. And, it's impossible to predict his lineup, because we don't know who's going to be there. Like, I've been saying in the, previous in the groups that Teden Mengi is likely not going to be at the club. That there have been rumblings that he was going to leave, and now that these rumours have surfaced, it's fairly obvious that he's not going to be there. But what does this mean for who we're going to bring in, and who knows what team we're going to start with on Friday?
Yeah, and my worry is that Edwards doesn't know either. And this is it. This is the bit that comes out in the pitch is that it feels as if there is a real lack of cohesion, and it's so unusual for seeing that in a Luton side. I think we're so not used to it. The one thing Luton have had always under, all of our managers. I mean, even when the going got tough towards the end in the Graham Jones era, and I'm not defending Graham Jones football, by the way, and would never go that far. But even towards the end, that draw at Wigan with that spectacular save by Sluga showed the fight. Now, I'm not, I'm trying not to go too overboard at all, but it does feel as if there is a real uncertainty everywhere, not just in the fan base, but at the club as well. And this is it. I mean, you're right. Joe Taylor offers us something different. We talked about this before, and he offers us pace. Now we've lost a huge amount of pace. We've just sold our our fastest player by miles. Where's the pace coming from? And you're bringing on Cauley Woodrow, and even his biggest fans, even Cauley Woodrow himself, wouldn't suggest that speed is his main attribute. It's not for the other two front players as well. Elijah's no slouch, but he's not quick enough to turn players and get in behind in that same way. Where's the pace coming from in the team for you to play like that? So, yeah, it's a concern. I suppose Chong would be your best option, and Doughty. Chong, for me, again, just didn't quite hit the heights that we know that he can do in the last game. I don't think he had an awful game. I know some people have really panned his performance. His penalty was terrible, but we only scored one, so let's not have a pop at just one person. But I think we know what he can do, and we also know what his negatives can be as well. In that, he can be a bit lightweight, and that's a concern in the Championship. Up some of these, big, burly midfielders and defenders. I do worry about the lineup, but I also worry about, how much planning are we going to have for this game? How much strategy is going to go into it? It feels silly to say because it's the fourth game of the season after a full pre-season.
I feel the season starts after the window closes, and obviously the transfer window would close about 3 hours after the final whistle. But as it stands now, are you confident? Are you standing by your 4-2?
Yeah, I'll stand by it. I'd say I'm hopeful, though. I'm not confident because I don't know who's going to play for us, and I don't, I don't know how you could be confident in that sense of us, smashing 4 goals past QPR when we haven't won a game since April. This is, and a lot of people have said this, and it's very true. The psychology of winning, it's a habit, and so is losing, unfortunately. And I think that is part of the problem, isn't it, as well? We just seem at the moment to be incapable of winning a game, and we've got into that losing habit. Do I think on paper we're the better side? Yes, I do. I think they can hurt us, though. Dembele's an exciting player. He looked good when he came on. Lots of people were raving about how good he looked, and I agree, but we did have our entire changed back line and Nona Canberra at that time as well. So we'll see how he fares against probably a more solid back line. But he looks good. Their new striker looks like he can score as well. So, they've got players that can hurt us, definitely. And if we're not on it, QPR would absolutely love the opportunity. And I've always said this about QPR. They're one of the few teams that don't worry about Kenilworth Road, even when it's rocking, because Loftus Road is a very similar ground. So they, the tight ground, all of that we used to play to our advantage, admittedly probably more under Nathan Jones and Rob Edwards when we're in the Championship, just never has really applied to QPR. They've never, ever seen Kenilworth Road as a problem whenever I've seen us play them. So, yeah, we could easily lose the game. But I'm hopeful. And if it does click, I can't see a reason why we don't win it. Hopefully that's a long answer, but yeah.
Yeah, look, I echo that. I think it has to click for us to win it. Like, the strikers have to hit the target. It just has to... It has to click. That is essentially it. And, for me, it's positive that Elias Chair is not going to be playing. I think he's carrying an injury or a court suspension. I don't know. I guess we'll see. And, it's going to be horrendous from now until the window closes. It's going to pick up. Hopefully there'll be an incoming tomorrow. I'm expecting to it. It could be more if we lose more players. I guess... Look, we'll have to see. And as I said, in my opinion, the season starts after the window. It might be worth just writing off the QPR game. As much as that pains Luton Town fans, go write it off. Think about what's going to come afterwards. But we should wrap this up, shouldn't we? Look, if you are watching on our YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more Luton Town, Championship and even Premier League content. Also, a big thank you to our audio partners, Black Star Amplification and Carry On, for making sure that we sound absolutely top notch. And thank you to the Record Shop in Amersham. Wherever you are in the country, please go on down there and check them out. So you can say that we sent you. We made sure that they know who we are this time, because there was someone in the comment section that said, I went down to the record shop and they didn't know who you were. They do know who we are now. Just be nice to them, okay? If you're nice to them, maybe they'll give you a discount. Maybe not, but they might do. Mark, right. Hopefully I'll see you down at the Kenny.
See you there.
Let's be optimistic. Come on, you Hatters.